Hello, welcome back to the Gamerback podcast. Not a podcast episode, but it's been quite some time since the last upload, which is my own fault. I definitely had some time to upload, not that it's for anything specifically, and also had some stuff to upload that I pre-recorded that I chose not to upload, specifically because I wasn't super satisfied with it and I was gonna just put something up today because I had some free time and some energy, and I kind of realized I wasn't super satisfied, and I could just remake it. So that's what I'm doing today, and this video was already recorded once, about a month ago, I'd say, and it is my time as a wrestling fan. And in the original video, it was about an hour long, which I expect this one to go about an hour long as well, just because that's how long I like to talk for. But I kind of did a lot of yapping. I was talking a whole lot of nothing when I was listening to it back. And so I figured this is kind of something that I want to look back on and be able to think about, essentially, have some substance. Because I like to rewatch my old stuff a lot. I'm probably my own biggest fan. And I wasn't a big fan of the thing I made, so I'm making them again. So here we are, my time as a wrestling fan. And to start, well, I'm going to preface this by saying if you're not me and you are watching this, hello, uh, I am a wrestling fan. You might be a wrestling fan, you might not be a wrestling fan. And I'm assuming you're not because most people in this world are not wrestling fans. And I think more people would be if they realized how great it was. I understand some things are just not for everybody, but wrestling is such an interesting facet of media and entertainment. Uh, you want drama, it's there. You want action, it's there. You want comedy, it's there. You want music, it's there. You want audience engagement, trends, moments. Wrestling, in my opinion, kind of has something for everybody. And as the resident wrestling fan of my friend group, whether it be back home or at college or even in online communities, uh, one thing that kind of gets me that I've noticed is that like people reference wrestling without even realizing it. And people once they're exposed to some wrestling that they'll like, they're a fan. Like I had friends at college that never watched a lick of wrestling in their life, and I'll show them some LA Knight, and now they start quoting yeah, and let me talk to you all the time, and they're not even big wrestling fans, but they'll watch an LA Knight match. They'll if if he's on a pay per view, I'll be like, yo, come watch LA Knight. So and even like Omos. I've got a friend who does not watch any wrestling. In fact, he said he doesn't even really like wrestling that much. But if Omos is wrestling, he will come hang out with me and watch wrestling because he just really likes that. Like, there really is something for everyone. And that's what I think is cool. Um, and the status of wrestling today is fantastic. It is December 2023. CM Punk recently returned. Randy Orton is back. AEW is picking up speed again. NXT is going off. TNA is coming back. TNA is coming back. Um, Enough with this introduction, though, and let me get into the meat of this video. If you're looking at the screen, you see this beautiful, amazing, color coded, sorted uh, spreadsheet. If you know me, you know I love spreadsheets. I put so many things on spreadsheets. You wanna know why? Because I have undiagnosed autism. That's right. Aside from that, uh, this is it. This is every wrestling show I've been to in person, with very fine details. Pricing of the show, location, date, name of the show, and then it's sorted by pay per view, even if it's upcoming. So I'm planning to go to a lot of shows, and this is for later. This is wrestlers I've specifically seen. So what this is a spreadsheet. Every show I've been to, where it's been, what day it's been, how much it's cost, every wrestler I've ever seen, the amount of times I've seen them, every title I've ever seen, special events I've been to, funny chants I've been a part of, special match types, my favorite segments, title changes, even promotional images for each show. This is everything. Everything. Made my list. I've checked it thrice. This list is missing no information. I'm thorough. I'm thorough than a motherfucker. All right? This shit is complete. Nothing is incorrect. Nothing is inaccurate. It's all here. I did this on purpose with the goal in mind. Now, one day, I know in my mind that wrestling is something that I don't think I'll ever not want to be a part of. I don't think I'll ever. There's like from this point in time to when I die, I think I'll always be a wrestling fan, even if it's gonna be dog shit, even if it's gonna be mediocre, and even when it's gonna be great. I think I'll still be there. I really do. You want to know why? Because I've done it with other things. Comic books. When comic books were dog shit, I was still reading them. Pokemon. Pokemon is dog shit. I'm still playing it. You know? Godzilla. Godzilla was dead my entire childhood. There wasn't a Godzilla movie between 2004 and 2014. But you know what I was doing that time? I was rewatching every single old Godzilla movie. And I'm still watching Godzilla. Once I get into something that I'm passionate about, it never leaves me. It truly never does. There might be a period where it dips and it wanes. I'm not as interested, but it'll pick back up. So one day when I'm old as shit and I've got children and or grandchildren or something of the such, I want to pull out this list. They're gonna ask, they'll be like, Grandpa, who's your favorite wrestler? I'm pull out this list. I'm gonna scroll down and say, I saw Damian Priest X amount of times, and that's statistically speaking my favorite wrestler. Which I'll get into that also. We're gonna figure that out right now who it is. Um, but just to go rewind the clock even a little bit more, as you can tell, my first event that I went to, a Survivor Series, a pay per view. I'm very privileged for that. That my first show was a pay per view. But before that, even before that, growing up, I was everyone was exposed to wrestling growing up. My very first experience, even comprehending what WWE even was, I must have been in like the first or second or third grade in elementary school. And my best friend, who we actually go to wrestling shows together now, which is really, really cool. Uh, his family was hosting a Halloween party, and I was dressed as Wolverine. And I show up at his house, and he's dressed as none other than John Cena, which is cool. I kind of knew who John Cena was, and my friend was a pretty big wrestling fan. When once again elementary school, and he's dressed as John Cena. I was like, oh, that's sick. And I was the first one there, and then his cousin shows up, unplanned. His cousin's also dressed as John Cena. And I think one of them was purple, one of them was orange, and then a third kid showed up as John Cena, and then a fourth kid showed up as John Cena, completely unplanned. They were all John Cena for Halloween. I was like, I thought I was out of the loop. I was like, damn, when did Wolverine become uncool? And John Cena was like the new guy, you know? So that was my first ever thing where I was like, damn, this wrestling shit's pretty popular, you know? And as it turns out, what I wouldn't come to find out till later in life, my family is kind of a wrestling family. My grandpa, who I would call Papa, he does not miss a single episode of Raw or SmackDown his entire life. Wherever he is, he will figure out a way to watch that shit. And I had no idea until the summer of like 2020. I really had no clue. I knew he was into wrestling, but he's like a diehard wrestling fan. And we went to shows together now too. My uncle on my mom's side and my dad went to WrestleMania 1. Not together. They did not know each other, but they were both there at Madison Square Garden. And my uncle and grandpa also, they were at WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 3. And my dad was at a bunch of wrestling shows. My dad still has his program that he bought for WrestleMania 1. He has that like super cool memorabilia. And I had literally no clue. I had no clue that my family actually liked wrestling like that. You know? Just wanted to point that out that, I got a little bit of background. And what got me into it was Edge, the rated R superstar, now known as Adam Copeland. I was hanging out. I don't know what specifically I was doing, and my friend here at college, actually not really my friend. I don't talk to him anymore, but he used to be my friend. And I was sitting in the food hall, and he was like, "Yo, you heard Edge came back?" I'm like, "Who the fuck is Edge? What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Edge, the wrestler." I'm like, "Oh, I don't really watch wrestling like that. I only know some things. Like I knew about the Undertaker and The Rock and Macho Man, and like I knew more than the average person just because I'm a nerd. But I didn't know enough to know who Edge was. It's like, yo, you gotta check this out. And he pulls up the video of Edge returning at the 2020 Royal Rumble. I'm like, and I watched that and I was hooked. I was like, just literally just his entrance. Just his entrance. He pulled up the clip of just Edge's entrance and told me this guy was retired for 9 years and he came back and he's wrestling full time again. And the feeling that that gave me was it filled a hole that was missing in my life. It sounds weird to say that, but in that point of my life, I think it was the first semester of college. It was like December 2020, so it was actually the Royal Rumble from 11 months ago. But he was showing me the clip now. Not sure why, but I'm thankful he did. And at that point in my life, I don't think I was doing so well, mentally, physically, mathematically, arithmetically, all the lees. I wasn't all there. But that moment of the Royal Rumble clip is almost like when my life kind of took a good twist. I almost felt passionate about something again. Sounds weird to say that, but I really was. Because at that point, Smash Brothers, which was kind of my thing, was dying down. Pokemon was not really getting me excited. I was just depressed. I wasn't doing hot in school. I was about to drop out. I was very close to dropping out, which I didn't. I'm still in school. If you didn't know, I'm actually in school right now. It is finals week, and I'm doing this instead of my homework. Don't worry about that. But that clip, I was like, damn, that's pretty freaking awesome. And after that, I slowly started to watch Royal Rumbles. I like didn't even look up a list. I just looked up Royal Rumble clips, and I was like, this is pretty good. And I watched like full 1998 Royal Rumble, which I think Stone Cold wins that one. I think. Don't quote me. That was like the first Rumble I saw. I was like, that's pretty damn good. And like basically whatever full Rumbles I can find on YouTube, I would watch, which there's a lot on there. And slowly I started like picking up names. I was like, okay, The Miz. I reckon he's been out a couple times. He's had a couple of Royal Rumbles. Oh, Dolph Ziggler. Oh, Kofi Kingston. CM Punk. I started recognizing names that I didn't know before. Edge too. Uh, I started picking up, just knowledge of who people were and like what people's moves were and whose songs I can start recognizing. And then I know exactly the first full match I ever watched was Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship, Kofi Mania, because Kofi Kingston is awesome in like, well, in recent times his Royal Rumble outings have not been that great, but in the past he's had some awesome athletic performances at the Royal Rumble. And I remember also hating Daniel Bryan. I fucking hated him. Just like from his entrances in the role in like whichever rumbles he was in, I was like, man, this guy's an asshole. I really hated him. Little did I know, I was getting. Oh man, there's a fucking ambulance driving by. We'll let that happen first. But meanwhile, little did I know, I was being worked. I was being worked, which, if you're not a wrestling fan, that means that you are buying into the product. Because what everyone says when you say you're wrestling, you say, oh, it's fake. Oh, it's scripted. But you sit someone down who goes, oh, it's fake. Oh, it's scripted. And you make them watch Kofi Mania. They're going to get worked. They will buy into it. Because that's how good wrestling is. You're going to go, oh, man, I hate another ambulance. Oh man, I hate this Daniel Bryan guy, this snickering fucking vegan earth loving, dirt eating asshole. But Kofi Kingston, he's the man. Everyone's cheering for him. You just got work, brother. brother, you just got worked. You worked yourself into a shoot. And I was like, damn, I watched it. I bought into it. And afterwards, I was like, holy shit, I just actually bought into that. I was amazed that I like was convinced that, it got me. And then I started watching more matches here and there. I still wasn't watching live shows yet. I still wasn't at that point. And then summer rolls around. Um, my life changes completely at that point. Uh, it really did because this was the point. Because I'd say my lowest point, almost I don't know if the lowest point in my life ever was that December, and then I watched that Edge clip, and my life progressively started to go up and up and up and up, and then summer hit, and my life was just completely fucking different. Um, like because COVID was dying down, I was doing better in school, my family was making money again, and we actually just found out that we were moving into a big house. I started going out with someone new. I made a lot more friends. Just a lot of things were changing my life, and wrestling was kind of there for that, you know. Especially because the first ever live show I watched, I was at my papa's house in New Jersey, and I don't know what I was doing. I might have been out with my friend, for like fishing or something, and I came home kind of late, around like 10:30, and Papa's in the living room watching some wrestling. I was like, oh, I'll sit down and watch with him now. I'm a little bit of a fan. And just without me knowing, the two things I watched that night that I caught in the last 15 minutes were John Cena confronting Roman Reigns, because this was ended up being the SmackDown before SummerSlam. It was Roman and John Cena, and then the final like closing of the show was Edge and Seth Rollins. And I was like, oh shoot, it's Edge. I love that guy. His return, blah 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 blah. And I was like, this Edge match with Seth Rollins seems pretty good because it was like he giving the bloodbath. And I was like, oh man, this looks sick. So literally that night, I went home, I bought a Peacock's, or I got the free trial to a Peacock subscription. I was like, I gotta watch SummerSlam. I'm gonna do it. And I actually had plans to go over to the person I was seeing at the time, their house, and I texted them. I'm like, I'm coming to your house, and whatever we were planning on doing, put on hold. I have to watch wrestling, and that's what I did. I watched SummerSlam like a fucking nerd. I went to a girl's house and put on wrestling. Um, that's all I'm saying. But and since then, I've been watching Raw. I basically watch Raw every week. SmackDown is harder for me to watch because I don't like it as much. I'm a Raw guy through thick and thin. I'm a brand loyalty. I buy into that. I watch Raw basically every week. SmackDown, I'll watch when I can. NXT, I'm a little bit loose with. If there's something that interests me, I'll watch NXT. And obviously, so far, I've only talked about WWE. AEW also exists. I basically do that the same as NXT. If something's interesting, I will watch it. That's it. Also, AEW pay per views are expensive as shit, so I don't do that. And then TNA, TNA lately I've had a little bit of a soft spot for because um, I moved in this semester in September. A couple months ago, I moved into my first apartment at college, and obviously we don't have cable because who the fuck uses cable? But my television is a smart TV, so we get some channels, like random channels, and one of those channels, I don't know what it's called specifically, but it's the TNA channel. It only airs TNA reruns and like their Impact shows or tapings or whatever. And so sometimes if I'm just feeling to roll the dice on a wrestling match, I'll fucking turn the power button on my TV, and the only channel I'm ever on is the TNA channel, and TNA will pop up. I'll be like, all right, let's see what we're getting today. And sometimes you get a banger. You get like Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. Sometimes you get something weird like Mia Yim in like a cross gender match or mixed gender match, not cross gender. That's not the right word. Excuse me, but a mixed gender match. And sometimes you get something weird, and sometimes you get something cool. And or like Speedball Mike Bailey, he's pretty cool now. He's been doing some hot stuff in NXT and TNA. I'm calling it TNA because it's becoming TNA, and that's always like, did anyone ever stop calling it TNA? I don't think so. Whatever. But bring us to the present day. I go to so many wrestling shows. It is one of my favorite things to do. It is one of my favorite things to spend money on. I spend a lot of money on wrestling. Merch, tickets, this, that, the other thing, paying for other people's tickets, whatever. Um, I go a lot. As you can tell, this month alone, December 2023 alone, I'm going to one, two, three, four. Four shows in 1 month. If you think that's too much, it ain't enough. It's not enough. I could have gone to five, believe it or not. But I'll get there when I get there. It could have been a fifth show this month. I would have done it too. Well, let's start from the top. Number one, the first show I went to, Survivor Series. The kid that got me into wrestling, that showed me the Edge clip. One day, I woke up and me and my dad, or more so just my dad, has season tickets to the Brooklyn Nets. So we get emails because I'm also on the email list, like under his thing. So I just get like his special offers just to see them because they give us. We're supposed to get as some of our benefits. We get two tickets to other shows that aren't the Nets every year, so we can pick. And I get the email saying, "Oh, Barclays Center is having Survivor Series." I'm like, "Holy shit, this is perfect timing!" Because at this point, this is when I've been watching Raw a little bit and this that, and I wasn't like super into it, but I was watching it here and there, and they were like, "Oh, get your tickets now. Pre-sales on now." I text my friend because I live in Brooklyn. In case you don't know, my friend lived in Long Island. Like, yo, and this is perfect because this is right on our Thanksgiving break. So we were going home that day anyway. I texted my friend like, "Yo, you're driving me home, and we're going to wrestling." And he said, "Down." And what we do, we got those tickets, we got our ass down there, and watched some damn good wrestling. And I was hype as shit. It was so good. You go back and watch Survivor Series 2021. It's not the greatest show in the world. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it. But being there in person for a mediocre show was pretty damn awesome. It was pretty sweet. The crowd was fucking popping. The matches were dope. The atmosphere was amazing, and being there was so different from seeing it on TV. Because seeing it on TV is one thing. Being there, you're a part of it. You're in show. You're not a part. You're not like a wrestler, but you're there. One person cheering, as I came to learn, one dude shouting something is enough to make a shockwave and ripple throughout an arena and become a trend and get on merch and influence wrestling as a whole. I'm dead serious. You want to know how I know that? Uh, Randy Orton, RK Bro, Randy Orton and Riddle versus the Usos. One dude started chanting in my section. He was going, "Randy's sleeping, Randy's sleeping." That was his chant. The whole arena within 5 seconds was chanting that. Randy's sleeping. That's so fucking funny. Obviously, that didn't turn into anything, but you look nowadays and you have merch with for the Miz that says "My balls are massive" because one dude decided to start chanting he's got tiny balls. You have Jay Uso with a Yeet shirt because one dude started sewing Yeet Yeet Yeet. You know, the being there in person, even for a bad show, which I don't think I've been to a terrible show yet, but just the atmosphere is so different. All right, moving on. This was okay. This was my second show. Obviously, there's a bit of time between these two. 'Cause this was like the time where it was kind of hard for me to get to a show because the spring semester of college for me, there's only one break, and it's a really inconvenient timing to travel, get back home, and do this. So I usually end up missing shows during this time. It's a little sacrifice. But the next show I went to, 725, went to with my grandpa, Papa, and he got to me for my birthday gift because my birthday is right around this time. And it was pretty sick because it was Rey Mysterio's 20th anniversary show. And also, I'm very glad I got to go with my grandpa because he's old. He's an old man. He lives in New Jersey, and for him to travel, not only come to Brooklyn, but then we also had to get into Manhattan. Uh, was pretty special because he said this is going to be his last time in Madison Square Garden because he doesn't think that because especially he doesn't really like his bedtime is early. You know what I'm saying? He's out. He can't move very fast, but he's like, I'll do one last wrestling show. And he came out in Madison Square Garden. We had a great time. It was fun, and it was pretty special because, like he said, that's the last time he's gonna be in Madison Square Garden probably. And he doesn't know if he even, like he's not unhealthy or anything, but it's just a lot of work, especially driving at night back home to New Jersey. It's like an hour and a half, but so that was a great experience. Next one I went to with my friend who was dressed up as John Cena, and he doesn't really watch wrestling as actively anymore, but he'll catch the big stuff. I remember I got 2 tickets to this because I think my dad was originally planning on going or something, but because this is in Barclays Center, I got a super like a relatively cheaper pre-sale. It says $100, but these were basically floor seats. These seats were incredible. It was super up close, and because most of the time I'm in an upper section, but this was upper section, $105 for upper section Madison Square Garden, 109 for like first row that wasn't on the floor. Like there's like the floor seats, and then there's the row behind the floor seats. That's where I was for $100. That's fucking aw That's a great price if you're unfamiliar with wrestling ticket prices. Um, but my friend leading up to was like, "Yo, you think John Cena's gonna be there? You think John Cena's gonna be there?" I was like, "No chance." So he's still a big John Cena fan, which I think is pretty funny. But we went, and once again, it was awesome. And another special show. It was the Degeneration X 25 anniversary show, 25th anniversary. So that was a cool experience. And also the show is pretty special because I brought a sign to the show. I don't got a picture of the sign. Actually, I do got a picture sign because it was on camera. Check this out. Seth Rollins wins U.S. title Raw 10/10. Let's see it. Let's pull it up. Let me get this picture because I know I'm in the background. Where am I? This is the picture. This is the picture. I love this picture because that's me with my sign right there. See the little guy holding it up? That's me. And what my sign said was Super freaking Mario. Oh no, Seth freaking Rollins or Super freaking Mario. I forget what it said exactly because it was the same weekend the Mario movie trailer came out. And coincidentally, I found a picture of Seth Rollins dressed up as Mario from like a Halloween or something. So I printed it out, put on a sign with the little warp tube, and that was it. And also I photoshopped Bobby Lashley's face on the Bowser. It was a good. I thought it was an awesome sign. And on the back, there's also I put I heart bald assholes because Simon Miller. I'm a big Simon Miller fan. Uh, he does ups and downs, so I want him to hold up the sign, him to see it in ups and downs. Which he didn't, I don't think he saw it, but I tweeted it at him and he liked the tweet, so he definitely saw the sign. Definitely saw the sign. It's pretty cool. But this night is special because this is the only time I've ever seen so far a championship change hands. This is it. I've been to so many shows. Look at this. From here, so like what's this? 10 shows I've been to. Only one time I've seen a championship change hands. Pretty cool. Next one, Holiday Tour. That was a house show, so it was whatever. But now I'm never missing one of these again. I'll tell you that because I missed the 2021 version of this, which was really good. And I remember like getting home that night. I was planning on going to it, but I ended up staying out late with my friends and like not getting a ticket last minute like I was planning on. And the next morning I woke up and people were like, "Oh, the show is so good." Blah 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 blah. I'm like, "All right, I'm never missing one of these again." And this show was whatever. It was a house show. It was a cool experience. Skip over it. But also, if you couldn't tell, this is another like period of my life where I was like just going wrestling, 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 wrestling. I went to wrestling in December, January once, January twice, February once, February twice, March. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh wait, hold on, I'm counting this wrong. 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 months. So I did 6 shows in 4 months. That's how often I was going to wrestling shows. The same. I love doing that shit. Next one after that was my only independent show, which I gotta get to more because it was a lot of fun. And the only reason I went to this was because I was watching Ups and Downs, Simon Miller. Um, Hold on, let me drink my water. All right. So basically, Ups and Downs. If you don't know what it is, it's a wrestling review show, and they wrestle. They rate. They give it an up if it's good. They give it a down if it's bad. Simple as that. And they talk about the show. It's a recap show. I watch it every single week. Even if I don't watch the show, I'll go watch Ups and Downs as my recap. I don't think I've missed a single episode because they're usually like 10 minutes long. I sit down with my breakfast. I turn Ups and Downs. That's my breakfast. Never miss it. And Simon Miller, the guy who does it, is pretty friggin' awesome. And he's also an independent wrestler. Um, so one day I turn Ups and Downs, and Simon Miller goes, as you can tell, I'm not in my studio because I'm traveling for wrestling, which is kind of normal. He's traveling a lot. He goes, right now I'm in Brooklyn, New York. And my eyes fucking pop out of my head. I'm like, what the fuck? Simon Miller is in my hometown. And I look up, okay, where the hell is he wrestling? How do I get there? And I was praying that I didn't miss it. And it's that night. It's that night. It's Saturday night. I'm like, okay, I'm through all my plans out the window. I got a $20 ticket to get to this independent show to watch Simon Miller wrestle. That's what I did. And it was a pretty good show. There's some, it was long as shit. That's what I remember. It was really goddamn long. And Simon Miller didn't come out to the very end. So I was kind of like a little bit slogged already. But it was cool. It was cool. And he's actually been in Brooklyn one other time, but it was during that fucking stretch of school where like I can't get my ass back to Brooklyn. So I was a little disappointed that I missed that. That's all right. But I'm sure he'll be back in Brooklyn because he actually like he wrestles with Battle Club Pro, which is like my local wrestling promotion. We're like 30 minutes away from my house. It's so close. Um, but yeah, so I'm sure he'll be back around in Brooklyn, and I'm probably also going to see him at WrestleMania because he goes to WrestleMania. So I want to try to bump into him there and say hi to him. Um, I'm a pretty big fan. Moving on from that, oh yeah, Raw is XXX. Raw is 30. This was another last minute show because I was watching SmackDown, right? And I was going, uh, it was the show. It was the Judgment Day and was in a tag gauntlet match, and the winner was going to fight the Usos, and Damian Priest went on a fucking tear. And I was like, oh man, I really wish I could see that Judgment Day versus Usos because I'm a big Judgment Day fan. They're probably my favorite, all of my favorite wrestlers right now. And I was like, oh man, I really wish I could see that. I wish I could get to Philadelphia. It's so close, but like I don't really got a car to drive right now. And then the next week came, and they were like hyping up this match even more, and then they even announced it was announced as like the tribal chief ceremony or something, and then they changed it to the trial of Sami Zayn, which is just as was damn good. But I was like, I gotta get there, and I looked up bus tickets to Philadelphia, and it was like $20 round trip, and I got a last minute ticket like a week before the show, and I got my ass to Philadelphia in the dead of night, taking the bus, taking it back, watching the show. I had a good fun time. It was pretty awesome. I literally like want to go just for the Judgment Day match. The whole show is pretty baller. They had awesome like a bunch of guest appearances because it was the anniversary show. Um, and yeah, I really like that. Next one, these two are pretty special because once again, a little bit last minute. Because me and my friends, we got into Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's been my guy, by the way, all throughout this. I love Sami Zayn. And I was like, they announced Elimination Chamber, but like, I wasn't really expecting to go, and the tickets were really expensive, but the SmackDown was still pretty cheap beforehand. So me and our friends were like, all right, let's get tickets to SmackDown, we'll go. And time is getting closer, and Katie, who's now my girlfriend, sitting in the other room, she has a track meet that Friday and she can't go. I was like, oh man, I feel really bad because besides, we're basically the two wrestling fans of our group. I got into it, got her into it, and She was like, "Oh man, I can't go." I was like, "Ah, I feel pretty bad," and she couldn't even get the refund for a ticket or sell a ticket because it was too last minute. And so by chance, this is about now a couple days removed. We got these tickets maybe a month in advance, and now we're a couple days away from the show. And out of curiosity, I look up Elimination Chamber tickets because last time I checked, the prices were really expensive. But I must have gotten so lucky that I found two tickets for $75. $75. I was like, Katie, you've got to meet the day after, right? We're going. And once again, we got our asses to Montreal. I went 2 nights in a row, which you're damn right I do it again. I do 3 nights in a row. I'll get to that. But I went Friday with me and my pals. We had a good old time. And then this is still my favorite show I've been to. And I don't know if it'll be topped. I really don't. As you can tell, I've already got my WrestleMania tickets. But damn, the show. Elimination Chamber in Montreal. What? You had to be there. You had to be there. You can watch it on TV. You can hear the crowd. You can watch the matches. You will not feel what it was like to be sitting in that arena. My God, it was fantastic. My adrenaline was going so hard the entire show. I remember driving there. I couldn't shut the fuck up. I couldn't shut my mouth. I couldn't shut my yapper, bro. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, what if Sammy wins? What is this gonna happen? What if Roman wins? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And I was praying that Sammy would win because that would have been the. I think Montreal would have imploded if Sami Zayn won that night. Unfortunately, he didn't. If you don't know the results, Sami Zayn did not win. Sami Zayn's from Montreal, by the way. So he's the hometown guy. He's also a fantastic underdog. He's one of those guys that like you never thought you'd see him in the main event. You never thought he'd get there. You never thought he'd be the man. But he became the guy. He became the main event. He put himself in the main event and to fight in the main event for the biggest title in your hometown with the stars aligned like that, the crowd was just like he was a hero. He was a hometown hero. I'm not even from Montreal. I go to school about 40 minutes away. I live really close to Montreal. So I'm not even from there. But he was still my guy. You know? He was everybody's guy. That show was so good. Oh my god. I can't jerk it off enough. You know, I can't wank it more. You had to be there. You know, people are saying it's the best crowd of 2023, one of the best. Contender Puerto Rico, which I wish I was there for that one. I'm jealous. I've got a bunch of friends who live in Puerto Rico through various connections. And I was telling them, bro, why don't you go in my spirit? Go in my steed to that fucking wrestling show, which none of them did. But I wish I was in Puerto Rico because I love just being a part of an awesome, loud, rowdy crowd. Aside from that, Elimination Chamber has been my favorite. Not only the most my favorite show I've been to, it was my favorite show ever, ever, ever. Period. Because even leading up to it, when I didn't have a ticket, I was on the edge of my seat every day. I was waking up thinking about Sami Zayn. Katie made me a meme. This is before we were even dating. She made me a meme saying like it's like the picture of the girl and the guy in bed. The girl's like, I bet he's thinking about other woman, and the guy's like thinking about shit. And it was a bunch of pictures of Sami Zayn. That was literally me. I was going to bed thinking about fucking Sami Zayn. I was waking up thinking about Sami Zayn, and I was like, oh man, I wish I could go. I wish I can go. I wish I can go. And I went, and it was damn awesome. And now since then, my ideology is I'm just not gonna miss wrestling shows because I can afford it. I work I work two jobs. I have relatively disposable income. I can take some hits in my bank account. I don't spend money. I don't go on trips. Never been on a goddamn plane. Never been to a concert. But I'll spend my money on wrestling tickets. So I'm not going to miss a show anymore because I'm going to regret it if I'm not there. I really am. That's it. So I was thinking to myself, if I missed this show, I would have regretted it. I would have been pissed that I missed it. Just the same way I was pissed I missed the first house show in Madison Square Garden. I would have been pissed that I missed this. I'm thankful and blessed that I was there. Which this kind of marked the end. As you can see, there's a drop off in shows going now, but starting like right after this was another bit of a low dip in my life. Uh, and I can almost attribute that to not being as many wrestling shows that I've been going to. Obviously, it's a lot more than that. I was going through some stuff with friends of mine, who are no longer friends. Whoa! But sorted that all out, and you know, there wasn't a lot of wrestling shows, and things were struggling. My grades were fine, and I was making a lot of money, but things just weren't the best. But I'd say recently, as of late, everything takes time to heal. But so from I went to this show. This is the last show I went to before December, which is a long ass time for me. This is the longest in between wrestling shows. March to December that I've ever been to since I've been a wrestling fan. And but now I went. Let's see. Let me get back on track. This is a house show. It was fine. This is probably the worst show I've been to. It was like just mediocre as shit. This one went to last week. Yeah, a week ago. It's today Tuesday or is today Monday? I don't even know. It's Tuesday. Yeah, a week ago because it was last Monday. This is pretty damn good. It's fresh in my mind, and now it's like modern, so I can talk about current wrestling. Oh yeah, okay. I've been talking about the 3 days in a row, so I see that this is me and Katie had tickets to this for a long ass time, and then I don't know how I found out AEW was in Montreal, but they were in Montreal the 5th and the 6th, and Raw was the 4th. That's 3 days in a row of wrestling, and unfortunately, it's finals like the week before finals, so there was still tests and shit going on, and Katie couldn't go to the show on the 5th, and I didn't really feel like going myself because it was just AEW Rampage, which I don't even watch Rampage, and I'm not a great big fan of what goes on Rampage. So I opted just to do Dynamite. Oh, I'm sorry, not Rampage. Collision. Collision was the night before. Dynamite Rampage was you know what I'm trying to say because it's written down here. I'm just saying it wrong. But yeah, we went to Raw in Albany, and that was pretty fun because of I just missed it. I missed it. I missed going to wrestling. It's like my life was. It's like this is another period where my life was turned inside out, and something I was missing in my life was going to live wrestling shows. And it took time for me to heal from things, and I think it was like intentional from the universe. Whereas like you are not happy, you are not in a place to enjoy going to a wrestling show. So you need to heal and fix yourself and do what you need to do, and then the opportunities will come back to you. And because I think if I went to a show in a time where I was unhappy, I would not have been able to enjoy it as much. I would have enjoyed it, but now being in a place where I am okay and I am better and healthier and going to a wrestling show again. Like it like lined up perfectly where I was like, I'm finally feeling like I'm myself again. And then bam, wrestling tickets. They're coming to New York. I had to go. I was there. I was like, you know what? This is it. The time has come. Everything's back in place. The world is as it should be. PJ Vaz is going to wrestling shows again. So it felt great to be back, and I had a lot of fun. Katie enjoyed it. Um, Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso was the main event. Fantastic, fantastic match. Opener was Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. Also a great match. I really enjoyed it. Those are two standout matches. Both of those matches could have pay-per-view level matches. And they're on just a random Raw. They're on free TV, as they say. They put two Not five-star matches, but it could have passed as in the under the right circumstances. Jay versus Seth could main event a pay-per-view. Under the right circumstances, Sammy versus Drew could main event a pay-per-view. And they were on free television that I was there for. Moving on. Moving on. Dynamite Rampage. By the way, these tickets were dirt fucking cheap. They were the same seats at Barclays Center. Like I said, they're like the row behind the floor seats. Except these were 30 damn dollars. 30 God bless AEW prices. That's all I can say. They are so much cheaper. I gotta start going. Well, here's the issue with AEW. I would go to more AEW shows. The only issue is they're never in goddamn New York. They're never around. And if they are, they're in Long Island. Which here's the issue. I'll travel to the city for a wrestling show from college. No way my ass is going from north north. I'm talking North Country. If you know what New York looks like, it's a pretty big state. Like I said, I'm 40 minutes away from Montreal. That means I'm about 5 minutes from the fucking Canadian border. Long Island is 8 hours south. 8, 9 hours. I'm not traveling. And also, that's in a car, which I don't have a car here. That means I'd have to get on a goddamn train for probably 12 hours to get from Plattsburgh, USA to Long Island. I can't do that. I can't. And if they are around New York, they're in Newark. They frequent Newark. Jesus, I hate Newark. No offense if you live there. Traveling from Brooklyn to Newark means I have to drive. Option A is driving through Staten Island and then through New Jersey, which who the fuck wants to do that? And here's the even worse option: driving through Manhattan and then New Jersey. I'm, or you can take a train to a bus to a train and like transfer 5 billion times. Which once again, I can't be bothered. You know, for like, I just can't do it. I wish they'd hit Barclays, which they probably can't because of contracts or whatever. I don't know the inner machinations, but all I'm saying is that they have not been in Long Island while I'm home, and I'm not traveling from Plattsburgh to get to Long Island. Whatever. But this is the first time I got around to seeing AEW. Once again, pretty great show. Edge versus Christian was the main event of Dynamite, and that was pretty awesome. And then I got to see Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Garcia, which I don't really. Danielson Garcia is not my taste of wrestling, but it was still decent. I didn't hate it. I did not hate it. Aside from that, I also wanted. They announced AW World's End at Long Island, and once again, this is the fucking. Oh, actually, I take it back. This is over winter break. And so, of course, like I think the world doesn't want me to see AEW shows for some reason. The tickets get announced, and I called my dad. I'm like, "Yo, can I borrow the car?" Well, my family has two cars now, and I use one of them for the most part. So I kind of call it my car, but I usually have to run it by my dad still. Whatever. And I'm like, "Yo, can I use the car December 30th?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "That's weird." Because it's usually a yes. So I'm like, why? What's up? And it turns out, while I've been away from school this semester, my little sister has miraculously obtained her driver's license, and not so miraculously broke the car. She didn't crash it; it just does not drive anymore. Which I've been driving that car for 2 years, and nothing bad has happened to it. And she touches it once and it stops driving. Whatever. I don't know what's going on with that. And the second car, once again, due to my sister, she's having her friend visit from Alabama that week, and they need the car just in case something goes wrong with this kid because weird bullshit. So both cars are occupied because of my sister. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what the fuck? How did this go so wrong? So I kind of accepted that I can't go to this show. But as you see, I actually am. Because after this AEW show, I texted my friend uh, who is into AEW. He actually he was telling me about AEW before I was a wrestling fan, trying to get me into it. He kind of missed the mark on trying to get me into it. He didn't expose me to the correct material. But I called him up. I didn't call him. I texted him because I didn't think he was going to this show. But I was devising plans because there's no public transportation, there's no cheap Ubers to get me there. It's impossible from where I live in Brooklyn to get to Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. So I texted my friend and I was like, "Yo, are you going to World's End?" And he says yes. I'm like, "God bless. Can I please get a ride with you?" And he said yes. So that's how I'm getting to World's End. And I'm pretty excited for that show. And like the struggle for me getting there, I was like stressing. I was like, I'm just gonna buy a ticket and figure out the fucking plan later. I was like, what if I take a bus to like the outskirts of New York City, take an Uber from there, then Uber back, and then take a bus? And I was like doing some weird fucking Vaz math, if you will. But it's simple now. I'm getting a ride with my friend. All good. Before that, I have another house show which I'm going to, which I got my family to go to because my other sister, my youngest sister, I kind of got into wrestling. She's not a big fan, but I got her to watch the Royal Rumble, and she really liked it, and so that's cool. And I was like, "Yo, you want to go to wrestling when they're here in December?" She's like, "Yeah." And my dad got tickets for the four of us because my other sister does not want to go, the one who broke the car. I don't give a shit, but yeah, so I got my family to go to a wrestling show again, which is cool. And then after that, I've got this show listed, which has not been announced yet, but it happens every year, so I'm assuming it's going to happen. And of course, the big one, WrestleMania 40, 4-0, 2 nights in a row, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. I got my tickets. Pre-sale was a stress fest for me to get on and get those tickets, but I got them. I got dope. I got really good seats for pretty cheap. My budget for tickets for both nights was 1,200. I basically halved that. I halved my budget because you want to know why? 'Cause I am the best at getting tickets now. I've mastered it. I've mastered the art of the pre-sale. That's it. Every single day I wake. Once again, this is going back to the Sami Zayn thing, where like I wake up and I think about Elimination Chamber, but that was only like for a couple months. I can say because I remember when they announced it in Philadelphia, I was like, "Oh man, I wish I could go," but it's Philadelphia, you know. And then I realized, wait a damn second, I went to Philadelphia already. I've already been there. Why am I? What the fuck am I stressing about? I've traveled to Philadelphia and back in one night before. Of course I can go to WrestleMania. And that's what I did. I got the tickets. I'm worrying about the transportation later. It's actually looking like instead of taking a bus this time, probably going to drive to New Jersey, stay at my grandparents' house because they live an hour away from Pennsylvania, and then drive to Pennsylvania. And then if worst comes to worst, it's a $20 round trip on the bus. So it's not a big deal. It is not a big deal. Every day I wake up, I don't wake up and think about it. But at some point in the day, the thought crosses my mind: WrestleMania XL, WrestleMania XL, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Money in the Bank cash in, blah, 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 blah. It's in my head. There's been the meme lately of like the guys that think about the Roman Empire every day. I think about WrestleMania 40 every day, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be something special. I really can't predict anything now. I've been trying in my head to think like, who if X wins the Royal Rumble and challenges Y, what happens to Z? You know, like it is fan booking so hard because you go back a couple weeks and CM Punk is not in WWE, and you think, oh, Cody's gonna win the Rumble, he's gonna challenge Roman, he's gonna win. It's that simple. It's not. It's not simple anymore. Because now, what if CM Punk wins the Rumble? He is a contender. Now people are saying Drew McIntyre might win. Now, what if Seth loses the title before WrestleMania? Who is CM Punk gonna challenge if he wants to fight Seth? It's just the scope of wrestling is ever changing, especially with people leaving and coming back and going to AEW and going to WWE. Because the Hardy Boys, they're saying, "Oh shit, we want to go back to WWE now. Come WrestleMania, the Hardys could be the fucking the tag team champions. You know, come WrestleMania, who Dolph Ziggler could be back in the company. Come WrestleMania, someone CM Punk could get fired again. Come WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes could be injured. Come WrestleMania, anything can happen. It's changing so rapidly and so fast that it's impossible to predict, and that makes it all the better. Where I can wake up today and go, I wonder what CM Punk's going to be doing at WrestleMania, and wake up tomorrow and go, holy shit, something new just happened. What's going to happen now? This guy is in the Rumble. This guy's not in the Royal Rumble. You know, Cody's getting blinded by fucking Shinsuke Nakamura. What is he going to do? Is he going to fight a match and then enter the Rumble? Is he going to enter the Rumble not 100%? What the hell is going to happen? WrestleMania 40 is going to be special. It really is. And will it be better than Elimination Chamber? Time will tell. Time will really tell. Because Elimination Chamber, the one fault I'll give it is that Sammy didn't win. I think they whiffed. I don't think they whiffed. It's not that bad. It's not a whiff, but it's like a home run. They hit a home run, but they could have literally hit the ball into fucking orbit if Sami Zayn won that title. That's the only thing I could do to improve it. Because even though in this show you had a Brock Lesnar DQ match, no one remembers it and no one cares because Sammy versus Roman was that fucking good. No one remembers that match, that terrible match happened because of Sammy versus Roman. So if they can successfully have a similar build to WrestleMania 40, which to be honest, it's looking like they might be able to build it as well as they did Elimination Chamber. Whether it be like, there's so many attractions for WrestleMania 40, basically. Whether it be, Uso versus Uso, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, Cody versus Roman, Gunther versus Chad Gable. You can even do CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's something that's being talked about in the year of 2023. Stone Cold might come out of retirement for the second time to fight a wrestler who's come out of retirement for the second time. What is going on here? That's insane. Not to mention, there's a bunch of names. Brock Lesnar is missing in action. Logan Paul, it can have a spectacular. Logan fucking Paul can have a match. What is LA Knight gonna do? What is Rey Mysterio gonna do? Randy Orton is back. The star power, the spectacles, the moments that they can make could be unmatched. His Elimination Chamber was carried by Sammy versus Roman. But these can be carried by a lot more. Because Elimination Chamber is a B show, and it was the best shows of the year. And they're really setting up for WrestleMania 40 to be crazy. What is Sami Zayn gonna do? Speaking of Sami Zayn, is there even room for people that are not A plus material? What is Ricochet gonna get gypped? Because Ricochet is not, he's a B guy. But he was at WrestleMania last year. He was at WrestleMania the year before that. Is there room for him? With the amount of fucking names, you know? Is there room for call ups? What if Braun Breaker gets called up? Is there room for him at WrestleMania? Between men's and women's matches. You know? It's almost like they're gonna struggle to get anyone that's not the best on that card. I don't know. As a fan, I'm eating good. You're eating good. We're all eating good. If you're complaining about wrestling right now, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You are 100% moron idiot. Wrestling is so good right now. Like you can complain about individual shit. Don't get me wrong. I complain about wrestling every single day. But if you're saying wrestling as a whole is bad right now, you're out of your damn mind. You have lost it because you have, if you don't like WWE for some reason, you have AEW. If you don't like AEW, you have TNA. If you don't like TNA, you have New Japan, you have AAA, you have WWE, you have NXT. Even in WWE alone, you have Raw, SmackDown, and NXT offering three completely different products. SmackDown, I don't think is as good right now. It's more, it's shorter, it's a little more kid friendly, it's a little more goofy. Raw is a little bit more gritty. You have Drew McIntyre like ripping people's fucking heads off. You have Seth Rollins like surviving brutal attacks. You have NXT where like you're just getting the highest. NXT is some of the highest quality matches you'll ever see, and it's a developmental program. And you go to AEW for like very more traditional wrestling. You go to TNA for alternative wrestling. You want Japanese wrestling? Go fucking stream New Japan. You want Mexican lucha libre triple? What is it called? Lucha Underground. I can't I don't get Lucha Underground on any channel, unfortunately. But I've watched clips online. It's damn good. You want women's wrestling? What is it? Is it called Woman of Wrestling? Wow. Yes. WOW. It's a wrestling promotion exclusively with women on it. You're saying, oh, there's not enough women's wrestling. You're right. There is not enough women's wrestling, but you can go watch WOW. That's on. It's on CW. I forget what it's on, but sometimes I'll tune into that if I'm bored. I'll be like, let's just watch some WoW, not World of Warcraft, Women of Wrestling. you know, but wrestling's fantastic right now. Competition makes everything better, and it's exciting. I don't know how long I've been talking for. I'll make this as long as possible because this is I listen to it myself. This is for me. It's not for you. Sorry. Moving on. Titles. I don't need to go through all this. I'll breeze through it. Special ones. WWE Champion Big E. This was right before his injury. He was champion of Survivor Series. The only time I've seen him wrestle, and then he lost his title like a month later, and then got injured like a month after that. And he's been gone since. I'm waiting. Big E was one of my favorite guys when I first started watching wrestling. He was because I remember like watching those older Royal Rumbles and Big E coming out, and he's a fucking monster. He's a huge Big E. Big is no fucking understatement. Dude is wide. He cannot fit through normal doorways. He's gigantic. You know, he's a mess, and not like fat. He's muscular. Dude is like he looks just different. you know? And I was like, that dude looked awesome. That dude looks sick as shit. And I remember watching his cash in. I was like, oh, it's so cool, And it's like this was at the point where I was like starting to get into it, and I didn't really appreciate in the moment how special it was seeing Big E as champion, because after this, Roman Reigns was the only world champion for like a year and a half. And my God, was I pissed at that. Like, I didn't understand the importance of a world champion until Roman Reigns was champion by himself for so fucking long. Because I hate Roman. I will hate Roman Reigns. Because he's a heel and I'm being worked. I don't hate Roman Reigns the person. I don't hate Joe Anoa'i or whatever his name is. Roman Reigns the character is despicable, manipulative, fucking douchebag asshole, and I hate him. I want to see him lose. Every time I go to a show, I'm fucking fingers crossed that if Roman Reigns is there, he is losing his title, which he has not done yet. And at WrestleMania 40, if he does not lose that title, man, I don't know what will happen. The moon might fall out the fucking sky. Anyway, I looking back, I'm very appreciative that I got to see one of my favorite guys with the world title. It's pretty special, especially that now he's not he Biggie might not wrestle ever again. Might not even wrestle within the next year, next 2 years, 3 years. He might retire. because he broke his fucking neck. And I'm hoping he doesn't. I'm hoping he has a successful return. I want him. If I had to pick someone to win the Royal Rumble and beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, it would be Big E. But the thing is, there's just no room. Once again, this goes back to my thing. There's no room. There's no room for Big E on WrestleMania 40 because he's not here to build a match right now. The people building matches right now are CM Punk, are Randy Orton, are Seth Rollins, are Cody Rhodes, are LA Knight, Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre. They are building their matches starting now, starting a week ago, starting 2 weeks ago. Big E coming back, he would not. I don't think he'd be able to build a good match in time. Unfortunately, this is why. Here's my pitch: fuck the 2024 Royal Rumble, 2025 Royal Rumble. Let him rest, let him recover, let him get bigger and meatier. Let him win the 2025 Royal Rumble. That's how you bring him back. Let him come back in the Rumble. Let him win the Rumble. Let him become the world championship reign he deserved. Because frankly, he was robbed. Brock Lesnar fucking robbed Big E for that title. He was robbed of a win at Survivor Series. He lost to Roman Reigns because of a champion versus champion match. If Roman, and this is before the 1,000-day title reign. This is before all that nonsense. This is only this is about a year after Roman's title reign. Which, you could have given Big E a win there. If the title was not on the line, which it wasn't, you could have had Big E go over and look at like a bigger star. But of course, fucking Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns, whatever the fuck. But Big E deserved a better championship reign. He didn't deserve to get injured. He didn't deserve none of this. That's why 2025 come around, he should win the Rumble. Moving on. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. Finally, I got to see a new world champion. Finally, which was Seth Rollins last week. But that was cool to finally see a world champion besides Roman Reigns. And I mean, it kind of counts the Ring of Honor world champion, which AEW is mishandling the fuck out of the Ring of Honor stuff right now. But it counts. I'm counting it for this list. It was Eddie Kingston. He's the current Ring of Honor world champion. So I did see him. So I did get to see a second world champion, which was cool. Drink water. All right. And yep, okay. If you can see from this little AEW section, a crucial name is missing. In fact, a crucial three letters are missing. Those three letters being MJF, which I'm pissed at this. I'm pissed at AEW for this bullshit. This would get a down from me. This would get a fucking. This wouldn't even get a down. Let's get a fucking middle finger, which it did get a middle finger from me. Announced for the AEW show for Dynamite was Samoa Joe and MJF in a tag match, tagging against two masked mysterious opponents. And I was excited. Number one, because I'm a big Samoa Joe fan. Two, I'm an even bigger MJF fan. For many reasons. Number one, MJF is awesome. Number two, he's from New York. Number three, MJF is awesome. Enough said. Uh, so they announced a tag match. I'm like, two of my favorite guys tagging in a match. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Unfortunately, it was too good to be true because I was lied to, and we were all lied to. The tag match never happened. MJF never came out, and I didn't get to see him. What the fuck? What the fuck happened? So I didn't get to see the AEW World Champion, and I didn't get to see him tag with Samoa Joe, and I was pretty pissed at that. That it didn't ruin the night, but it soured the night. Because then, if you're not, and at least have Samoa Joe tag with someone else. The match just didn't even happen. Samoa Joe came out, and then MJF got jumped and never came out. What the fuck, man? At least have Samoa Joe tag with I don't know, roll the dice and draw out a random AEW wrestler. It's not that hard. But that was just a big disappointment. So there's no MJF on this list yet. At World's End, that will change. You can see here, I left this section open for MJF. Actually, I did. Anyway, special events. I ran through most of these. Blah, blah, blah. Funny chance. I need to get into that. Special match types. I need to get into that. Favorite segments. All right. RK Bro vs. Usos stole the night at Survivor Series. Big E versus Roman. I talked about that a little. It was just really special to see Big E as champion. That's kind of why that's there. It was a decent match too. Don't get me wrong. It was just like the Roman winning. It's like a lot of those older Roman Reigns matches in like towards like in like the first year and a half of his run was kind of like Roman hitting the win button and he wins. Like there was no substance. It was just like okay, fight around, and then he hits the spear. Or he hits the Superman punch, and then he hits the spear, and then he wins. Now, like after I honestly after his like match with Finn Balor is when shit started to get like a little bit more different. Even though it's kind of the same, where like it transitioned from Roman hitting the win button and into Roman hits the Uso assist button and he wins like that. That's kind of like what changed there. And now in modern day, he doesn't even fucking wrestle anymore, so it's become more of a commodity. Anyway, next after that, I talk about this one. Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins. Only time I've seen the title change. Once again, it's one of those matches that get the adrenaline fucking pumping. Because before this match, Brock Lesnar spawned in the Barclays Center and fucking tore Bobby Lashley's arm apart. And Seth Rollins came out and like mocked him and got the match and won the championship. Super, super cool. I remember I was actually waiting with two things. My mission that night was to take a picture of Seth Rollins on my Nintendo 3DS. So I'm sitting there with my 3DS camera open like a fucking geek, waiting for his music to hit, and then you hear bam, 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 and fucking Brock Lesnar walks out instead of Seth Rollins. And not only did I lose my mind, everybody lost their mind. That was so unexpected. I'm sitting there with my 3DS, like, holy shit, that's not Seth Rollins. Anyway, that was cool. Trial of Sami Zayn. This is art. that Trial of Sami Zayn is so cool. Um, Honestly, I'm not going to tell you about it. Watch it for yourself. It's not even a match. It's a segment, and it's a literal court case trial with Sami Zayn, like he had to like defend himself in front of the Bloodline, and it was pretty good. Immediately following that was the Usos vs Judgment Day, which is also really cool because actually let's scroll up for a second. Oh, scroll some. Oh, here. Yep. So you see here, undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, Usos. I've only seen them. I haven't seen anyone else. Not Judgment Day, not Sammy and Kevin. Well, technically, I have seen Sammy because he defended the Tag Team Champions in this match because Jimmy gets hurt halfway through, and Sammy goes, "I can fight. I can fight on behalf of the Bloodline," and he tags in and he defends the undisputed tag team champions. And at the end of the match, he holds it up with Jimmy. So I count it. Freebird rule counts, in my opinion. Speaking of the undisputed tag team champions, though, I am dying. I was dying to see Sammy and Kevin with them, but once again, I just didn't have the opportunity. And I really hope I can see Damian Priest, who's like currently probably my favorite wrestler. Uh, I see Sammy's still my number two though, but at the Raw last week, Damian didn't come out, so I don't count it. If they don't come, by the way, if they don't come out, I don't count as seeing them. So like if they're backstage only, I don't write them down because they're not there. Backstage could be recorded weeks in advance. Backstage could be recorded days in advance. They might not actually be there, so I don't count it. If they're not in the ring, if they're not outside in front of the crowd, I don't count them. Which Damian Priest was backstage, but he was not in out front. So I don't count it, unfortunate. So I'm waiting to see Damian like as a tag team champion. If he loses it before I see him, I'll be pretty upset. I really will be. Moving on. Oh yeah, the Sami Zayn promo was sick. Because we didn't let him talk. We set the record. I can say we, not like the French we, like we as in me and everybody else in that arena set the record for the longest standing ovation in the Bell Center when Sami Zayn came out. We were cheering him for so long that the show on air cut to like he was out there. We cheered for him. It cut to commercial break, and it came back, and we are still cheering for him and continuing after that. That's how long we were fucking cheering, just shouting his name and shit. The Elimination Chamber match itself was dope. Of course, then you have this, like the match from the heavens, and then Seth Rollins with Jey Uso, which I think was another fantastic match. Just those matches that really get your blood pumping and the adrenaline going is what I like to see. And I can say that in term and like ranking in terms of like bloodlust that I felt probably goes one is Roman versus Sammy, two is Bobby versus Seth because of the Brock Lesnar jump scare, and three is probably this one. And if I had to say four, it'd be the Usos versus Judgment Day. Um, but yeah, I don't need to get into this. There's just a lot of good promotional images besides World's End. This is such a terrible image. No offense to AEW, but like compared to this Elimination Chamber poster is so cool with like the ghost of Sami Zayn in the background. Even this one, like with Biggie, he's strapped in. He's plugged in. He's ready to go. It's pretty kind of cool looking. And then you have fucking World's End, which is just like whatever. Also, while we're here, I want to point something out about World's End, which is really cool. Montauk. This is obviously in the. It's not in Montauk, but Montauk, Long Island, is the very end, and it has the nickname "the End of the World." Hence, World's End. I like the name there. I really like that name because uh, I frequented Montauk a lot when I was younger, because my dad used to have clients there, and so I would go there pretty often. And Montauk's a weird fucking place. But I have a lot of stickers and a lot of Montauk merchandise that say, "Oh, Montauk, end of the world. Montauk, the end of the world." So for the fact that they named the pay per view World's End, it, it's a nice nod for the people that know about that. But getting it, I'll be wrapping up my little synopsis here. I won't go through any specific. I won't go through all these because there's a lot. But just to figure out, because I don't know off the top of my head, I don't know who has the highest number right now. But Damian Priest is six. It's probably going to be in someone with Survivor Series because I saw a lot of people at this show. But let's see. Damian Priest is six. Seth Rollins also has six. Let's see. Oh, Sammy in the lead with eight. That's a big eight right there. And let's see. Jay also has eight. And Jimmy has seven. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Um, yeah, that makes sense though. And that adds up because that would mean let's see, six. Honestly, those are a lot of my favorite guys right now. I'm not the biggest Jimmy fan. I don't not like him. I think what he's doing is great. A lot of people have been giving him shit for like joining back with Roman after turning on him. Uh, but I think the fact like his delusional character, his character's basically like a little bit of schizo. He's a little bit deranged, and I like that. It's funny. I do think Jay's doing better work, but I don't think Jimmy's doing bad work. But like Damien's one of my favorite guys. Seth's one of my favorite guys. Sammy's one of my favorite guys, and Jimmy's one of my favorite, or Jay's one of my favorite guys. Jimmy's up there. Jimmy's up there, not quite up there. So I'd say the numbers are reflective of who I actually like too. If I had to pick some people who I wish I saw more, actually let's just see some more. I've seen Nikki Cross five times. Let's see the women's wrestlers actually. Let me pay attention to that. Four for Becky, four for Charlotte. I've seen Kevin Owens five times. Have I really? I've only seen him wrestle like once or twice. I guess he's kind of just hanging out a lot. We're back on women. So Charlotte and Becky are both 4. Bianca Belair is 5. Rhea Ripley is 5. That's pretty. That's definitely reflective. Liv Morgan is 5. Let's check this one. Nikki Cross is 5, which I'm not a big Nikki Cross fan. Um, Ludwig Kaiser, Giovanni Vinci. I'm on the Vinci train as of late, by the way. That guy's great. I've seen Bray Wyatt wrestle. Rest in peace. Which is I've seen him wrestle twice. When he returned to WWE, he wrestled 3 matches. I was at 2 of them. I saw 2 out of 3 of Bray Wyatt's matches before he passed away, which is kind of it's a little special. I remember his first match was at the Madison Square Garden house show. He wrestled Jinder Mahal, and then he went to the Royal Rumble, had his match with LA Knight, and then a little bit after that, he had a dark match with LA Knight on the SmackDown in Montreal, which is really good. I honestly think the dark match in Montreal was better than the match they had at the Royal Rumble. I was like, I wish they televised that because it was so good. Um, and then he got sick. He was off TV for a really long time, and then a couple months ago he passed away. And so I was at his last match. Yeah, I've seen. Let's see, moving on. Gunther's a couple times. It was pretty cool. Big Johnny Gargano fan. Let's see, seen Bailey a couple times. Brock Lesnar 3 times. Seen DX. Suck it. It's DX for Halloween this year. This is actually pretty cool. 2 things on here. Trisha Dora. I saw her first on the Indies, and then she was on AEW, which is cool to see someone that you saw on Indies then wrestle in a major promotion. That was cool. I recognized her. It's like, oh shit, that's that girl from fucking Brooklyn. So good job, Trisha Dora. And 2, Simon Miller was very cool. I like that. That gets an up from me. Raw's 30. A lot of legends here, obviously. Um, Undertaker was very cool. Hulk Hogan was interesting. Kurt was a special guest referee, which was pretty cool. IRS coming out, which is that's Bray Wyatt's dad. Fun fact. Ted DiBiase, JBL, DDP, Ric Flair. I don't like him. Don't get me started. But a lot of cool guys on this one. Also, first time I saw LA Knight. Moving on, saw Uncle Howdy. Raquel Rodriguez, a big fan of her. Blah, 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 blah. I've seen Edge, Beth Phoenix, Byron and Cody. You see the numbers dwindle the further we get. Uh, but since there's a big discrepancy between these 2 shows, I guess more people, it fills up. It fills up. First time I saw a bunch of these guys, haven't seen JD in the Judgment Day. Chelsea Green's pretty cool. And then we get on to the last show I saw, which is a lot of guys because it's my first time going to AEW. But yeah, the personal notes first AEW show. I should probably add more to that. But it's a lot of cool guys here. Jay Lethal, I like him a lot. Samoa Joe, I like him a lot. Christian Cage, who's your daddy? Christian Cage is my daddy. Christopher Daniels, Brian Danielson, 2 different Daniels, 3 Daniels in a row actually. Isn't that interesting? Also, eye patch. I wanted to note that because he's wearing. I think the eye patch Brown Davis is pretty cool. And yeah, that's it. I think I can close this out now. I've been talking for long enough. And I've just got these sections in here for future reference because I get bored and I like to, oops, I like to work on my spreadsheet, even if there's nothing for me to add. So I'll just be meticulous and add stuff for the future. And then I get to the point where like there's nothing left for me to add. So I just think about if I could like add more shit. But I'll close it out there, wrap it up, and we're done.